care who they put in there at tackle. Woo! They got to deal with that. There we go.
What's going on, sports fans? It's Josh Williams back again with another episode of the American Fan 365 podcast. Not live on IG today, but we will be live moving forward again next week. But so if you're watching this, thank you so much for watching on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in on Zeal Radio. As you see, I'm rocking my first place Chicago Cubs jersey. They didn't believe in us, Dave. Josh did. I did.
I don't know what was not to believe in. I mean, it's not like you play in a great division or anything.
Hey, listen. You saw the rookie pitcher that the Pirates finally just brought up. He's out here throwing heat, 100
right.
plus, 18, 20 pitches.
That kid.
You know what I mean?
Good Lord.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna lie. We are the dumpster fire.
The Skis is there for a reason. And that reason is that they have good picks because they're not a good franchise.
They've been trash. But your Giants have been been struggling.
Been a little mediocre.
Eight games back already.
Well, I mean, there's some juggernauts at the top. Let's be honest.
Let's leave it there.
And I mean, there is one team definitively behind them.
Yeah.
But they don't. Just like any recent year, they don't have any pop. They really don't. They don't have true pop. They don't have consistent pop. I mean, Every once in a while they'll play some crazy game. It's like, wow. Where'd all those runs come from?
Where'd that come from? Save those runs for tomorrow.
No, They keep usually having pretty solid starting pitching and a mediocre bullpen. And
I can't. You're right, but
just a lineup.
No, but you're right though. I can't think of that one guy. Like after Bonds, it was Buster Olney, or
Posey.
Or Buster Olney. Jesus
different Buster.
Christ. Different Buster. Buster Posey.
It's a Marquez Buster.
Marquez Buster. Tim Lincecum. They had the next wave of guys.
Right.
And then, but you're right. Over the last,
let's not forget to bring up the name of the great Madison Bumgarner, okay?
Yeah, Mad Bum. You have to say him for sure. The Panda, You
Yeah.
guys had some bodies, but you're right. It has been a little bit of time.
That was a lot of Bruce Bochy magic in those years.
That's fair too. I do have to say happy Mother's Day to the mothers out there. I know there's all 5 of you that watch the show because we don't have a very big female contingent yet. But I have to also say happy birthday to my mom because I know she's going to tune in. So she is one of those 5.
Wow.
Today is her birthday. Is her 73rd birthday. Happy birthday to Jerome, my brother. It was his 51st birthday on Friday. So happy birthday to both of them as well. So, you got anything else to say on Mother's Day?
On Mother's Day? No, it was nice Mother's Day to my mom. Very low key, My mom will also check out the show.
was brunch had by all or
no brunch? No, we don't. I don't mess with brunch. We don't need to get into that again. My thoughts on brunch are very well established.
No, not on this show. But it's okay. Dave doesn't like brunch.
Brunch is stupid. It's a waste of your time. I don't like to stand in line for anything. I mean, there's very few things in life. I mean, the thing that surprises me the most is that other people fell for our Caucasian nonsense with the brunch. I thought we were the only ones dumb enough to fall for that trap.
Hey, listen, okay? Look, mimosas are great. So if you don't find, if you don't like mimosas,
this is a great point that you bring up with mimosas. So I bring this up to people when they start to defend brunch to me, and the defense always includes mimosas, bottomless mimosas. Let me ask you a question, Josh. When have you ever gone into a bar and just ordered a mimosa?
It doesn't happen.
Correct. So why is that the draw?
Because it's a refreshing beverage in the morning.
Listen, if you want to drink in the morning, just drink in the morning.
I mean, look,
you don't need an excuse for it.
Yes, no, we do, because that's inexcusable, Dave. When you're messed up and it's 12 noon.
Says who?
If there's no football on and you need to pull it together.
Listen, there's a lot of other things on. I've been caught up. Me and Kareem have been caught up watching some like chase tag on ESPN a couple times. And I'm gonna tell you that chase tag, it's a fun watch.
I hate you so much. We got to take it around the world in sports. Up first, we have UFC in St. Louis. We actually had Joaquin Buckley on a few weeks back prior to UFC 300 after his big win in Atlantic City, and he had been promoting and pushing to get on the card in his hometown. He ended up getting in the co-main and put on another big performance. So shout out to our friend Buck, continuing to push. He's currently 11th in the world, and so continue to push upward. But man, we do have to talk about this barbecue chicken that happened in this first fight. So I gotta pull it up. We're gonna superimpose this on the clip, but here I'll go ahead and just there it is right here. So here we go.
It's a rough moment.
Get a little bit. Hold on. Let me do better. All right, there we go. There it is. All right. So Rebowitz absolutely just kicks this man
you're
into
at the end now.
Into the no. That's the I guess it did. Yeah, you're right. There we go. All right, here we go. That's a little bit better. Here's the kick heard around the world.
Good Lord.
Good night is better.
That man was smiling from the shadow realm. He was gone. Just sat there with a smile on his face.
Absolute barbecue chicken alert. That was a huge knockout by Esteban Rebowitz. Complete knockout contender of the year for sure. And that was in the beginning of round one. Like the fight, I think, was only like 20 or 30 seconds in, and it was already over.
It has to be discussed. If it's not the one, it's a contender.
Yeah. I will say also about Joaquin Buckley's fight. Keith Peterson wanted Buck to absolutely murder this man in the ring. Like he was going to absolute work and no stoppage.
I thought we got rid of these guys who would not stop fights. I thought we were paying better attention.
Apparently not. I mean, I love Keith Peterson. I just love saying Keith Peterson. I just love saying his name. But I mean, At some point, you do have to stop. It's either they don't stop it or they stop it too daggone fast. And it was like my man was getting absolutely worked.
Yeah, but see, I've seen Herb Dean get roasted on that sometimes recently. I don't know, man, with the dangerous level these guys are fighting at with the speed and skill and those small gloves. I don't know, man. I would much rather you stop the fight a little too early, unless it's a title fight. If it's a title fight, I want you to show a little more. But I mean, if it's an early fight, like some prelim, it's one of those ones that's only on like ESPN Plus or something, or UFC Fight Pass. I don't know, man. Let the kid live to fight another day. I think sometimes we're taking years off of people's lives.
Exactly. And you took $50,000 out of Joaquin Buckley's hands, so that was already upsetting. But did you think Herb Dean stopped Jamal's fight versus Pereira too fast?
Personally, no.
No. Okay.
I know you would disagree with that.
No.
I thought that was a tough call, especially considering a championship level fight.
Yeah.
But that it's close, but I still thought I thought Pereira had done enough at that point.
Yeah.
That it didn't seem to me, an uneducated person, like Jamal was doing enough to stop his
onslaught.
Yeah.
For me, I agree with you. I feel like they should have been fully separated, not just brushed off and then continue to move on into action, because
that probably could have changed that, at least that portion of the outcome.
Would have changed the exchange for sure.
But the way that they had let it happen up to that point.
Yeah.
I was looking at it and at first it's like it was too fast, but then I'm sitting there watching on replays. I'm like, I don't know. It feels like he's getting a lot of uninterrupted shots in there, and it's just like not that they were killers, but you can only let somebody get hit so many times in a row.
Yeah, especially after that uppercut or kind of side.
Yeah, no, he caught him with a good one. He caught him with a real good one, but that which led to the more questionable part. But I can understand why somebody would be upset about it. But I don't know, man. I'd like to see these guys healthy and able to fight more fights.
That's fair. Moving on to some NFL news. We have to keep the NFL public interested. The NFL schedule is to be released this week. It's actually going to be released on Wednesday, and the opening night has now been announced. It's going to be Chiefs versus Ravens in Kansas City, getting the rings. Who does this game mean more for, Dave?
Oh, I think it's a very easy answer of the Ravens, because I don't think the Chiefs, until you hit January, I don't think they really fully care.
Yeah.
I think they're unfortunately, for all the rest of us, I think they're setting things up very nicely for themselves. Baltimore needs this game. They need the good start, because if they don't get the good start against the Chiefs, because how is it going to mean that much to them? The only thing that means anything to the Chiefs right now is trying to be the first to win 3 Super Bowls.
Yep.
They don't care if they lose the first game.
Yeah. I agree with you, but I have to, I guess, have a counterpoint. I'll say the Chiefs, simply for the simple fact of continuing to establish dominance. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain aspects of sports, especially when we always talk about Jordan. There were certain things that people used to do, and it was always about sending a message. Mm-hmm. And if we have the opportunity to send that message, you send it. You know what I'm saying? And so the Chiefs now, you know, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, all these new pieces.
Yeah, it's really great. I love that they got all these weapons. It's really awesome.
But it's exciting times to see. You know, it would be great if they go off to have like a 40-point, you know, showing in that first week and like really establish like we're going to be here and it's going to be tough for all of you.
Well, that's a different story. If they decide to come out and smack somebody like that,
yeah,
that would be frightening for all of us. But I don't think Baltimore's that kind of team that's going to allow that to happen.
That's fair. All right, switching gears over to the PGA. The PGA Championship is this week, so the second major of the year starts this week. So we'll just go quickly through some of the betting picks of the week. And, you know, I always tell you guys to bet on Tiger, and I'll get to that in the end. Dave shakes his head, but it is what it is.
I mean, if you like donating money to casinos, there's easier ways to do it.
Hey, listen, I'll put it to you like this. One of these daggone times you're going to be right, and you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to miss it the time that you're right.
Yeah, but I feel like there's enough people out there trying to be right on Tiger every time.
Look, here, we'll start with Tiger first. Tiger is plus 12,500, Dave.
I would. Could you find a line on one of the books of like? So if you're betting on that, you should at least throw some money on betting to see if he'll finish.
Or betting the cut, like making the cut.
Not making the cut and finishing the tournament.
I don't know if they have that one. That's like
that might be a little more exotic.
That's a little.
It feels like with Tiger, that would be a good.
That's actually not a bad line.
That'd be a good one to see where that line falls.
Does he finish the tournament? But that on that $12,500 bet, $20 pays $2,520. Dave, that's not a bad donation, Dave.
Sure, yeah, for $20 for to win $2,500, I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, well, because here I'll give you the reasons why. So outside of his putting and his driving and his second shot, I feel like he's driving the ball better than he probably has anywhere outside of his prime. Truthfully, in terms of accuracy. Now, obviously, distance, he's lost a little off his long ball, but he's still in the top 20 drivers in the PGA to this day. It's truthfully his second and third shots that get him into the green, and then he just hasn't putted well enough from outside of 10 feet.
But you're also bringing up the factor that was so crucial for him when he was in his prime, but now it doesn't mean that much. There's a lot of guys that can drive like Tiger now.
Yeah, yep.
So being up there and driving, doesn't really mean as much as when he was out driving everybody. And they used to Tiger-proof courses. They said we would say
that's right.
So I think that's where you miss out. That's where the top golfers always make their money.
Well, Tiger. But see, honestly, the thing about Tiger, especially when he was really in his prime, that Nike driver was trash. It was his second shot, that shot that got him in the greens in regulation, and then putting. He would always do well putting, chipping, and then that second shot, that long iron, that's really what's been missing, truthfully, in my opinion.
Well, I'm happy you're willing to keep this hope alive.
$20, baby. Scotty Scheffler plus 300, Xander Schauffele plus 1,400. That's actually not a bad
Just
pick.
real quick,
Yes,
Scheffler,
sir.
it's hard to bet against.
It's hard, but listen, PGA Championship, pressure, all that good stuff.
Have we seen him feel pressure? Because your tough part is there used to be the only hole in his game was he wasn't a great putter.
Yeah, now he's
But
putting.
he was the greatest getting to the putt.
Yeah.
And now he's also putting well. He makes him when he's dialed in. It's just hard to see somebody beating him.
It's hard. Rory McIlroy plus 1,200. Brooks Koepka just won the LIV event in Singapore. He is plus 1,200 as well. That's actually a very, very good quiet pick. He had a really good run of. Remember, he won the. I think he won the PGA last year, because actually last year for the Masters he was like plus 5,000, and he had every chance to win that tournament last year and then lost, and then he went from like plus 5,000 to like plus 400 for the PGA Championship. So it was like
Counterpoint: live events are garbage and stupid. So what's the point?
Well, look,
3 days no cuts. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Not a fan.
Not for many reasons.
Not
a
even
fan.
remotely a fan.
Not remotely a fan.
Jason Day plus 1,200. Jordan Spieth, who's also going for the career slam because he still has to win the PGA Championship. He's plus 5,500. So if you like storylines, that's another good one. And then finally, Max Homa plus 6,500. So those are a couple solid picks for the PGA Championship. Switching gears over to the NBA. Our NBA segment today is brought to you by our friends at Coco Love, the beverage of choice of the American Fan 365. Head over to www.cocolovewater.com for your own case of coconut refreshment and use the code TAF365 for your discount on Hawaiian Beach vibes. Talking first about the NBA draft. The draft lottery was announced over the weekend, and my Wizards, we did not get the number one pick, but God bless, we didn't get as bad as the Detroit Pistons. So we'll go quickly over the top 10 picks in the lottery, what we think they could need. I didn't watch any college basketball until March Madness, truthfully, and I don't even know who the best players are. Yeah, this year is a lot of like Euros. So
it's the worst year of college basketball I ever saw. UConn was a good team.
Yeah, they were a solid team.
It was the worst year of basketball I've seen. Worst caliber of players.
Yeah,
just lack of consistency. You can name any reason.
We're gonna get into that. Up first, the Atlanta Hawks with a 3% chance at getting the number one pick. Get the number one pick. Dave, what do you think the Hawks need?
Well, outside of getting Trae Young out of there, they need you actually need more with the Hawks than you would think, but not as much as you would think.
It's weird.
They need some, because a lot of it's going to depend on if you keep Trae there, if you keep Murray there. If you're keeping both of them, it changes what your needs are. If you're not keeping one of them,
you got to replace
it also changes what your needs are. I don't understand how at this day and age how you can continue to keep Trae Young. I understand the stats are there. I understand how popular he is. But how many players do you have to make it very clear it sucks to play with the man?
And my thing to that point, it sucks that this is the year you get the number one pick, because you're not going to get that franchise face. You know what I mean? Where it's like, well, Trey's still here, but maybe this guy, like similar to what happened now with the Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards. Like, he's now the face of that franchise, but it was Karl Anthony Towns, but Karl Anthony Towns just couldn't carry the mantle.
No, it's not for him.
You know what I mean? So, like, it sucks that it's not that kind of a year where there's, like, that new guy that's going to be the guy.
It also sucked on the show when they, on ESPN, they didn't notice the fact that Atlanta had moved up like that. They didn't call attention to it.
That's terrible.
That's like all you're there for. And I mean, listen, shout out to the great L. Duncan, who I usually love. They missed it.
Really?
Yeah, they missed it flat out.
That's terrible.
Woj didn't catch it either.
Woj didn't catch it. And the fact that Woj didn't catch it is even bigger.
Tells you a lot about this year.
That's fair. That's fair too. I think their top needs are they need a big. This is if they keep Trae Young and Murray. They either need a big when this draft has a lot of frontline bigs that are solid, or they need another 3-and-D type. So they need that third scoring output person, but somebody that actually can guard.
Yeah, no, somebody that can guard is huge no matter what for them. I would say lean more on wing play. Because I think those wing rolls of the dice in this year's draft are better than some of the other rolls of the dice.
Yeah. Up second, my Washington Wizards. Lord for heaven, like Jesus, we need a lot. I'll say for me, we need competent scoring or a big. I don't know if I want okay. There's a couple Frenchmen that are high on this board.
Very high.
We just picked up Bilal Koulibaly last year, who played with Wemby for the Metros in France. As much as I want to draft another Frenchman and then we can start calling it the French Connection, shut up.
Do you want to call it that?
As much as I would love that, I personally want Dillingham, the point guard from Kentucky. We need a competent point and another scoring option. I would rather go with that versus an unknown. Yeah, I mean, that's my personal opinion.
I couldn't disagree with you more.
Okay.
I think you want an international guy because it'll be longer for Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma to suck their will to play basketball out of them when they're foreign because they're kind of getting used to the country.
Okay.
Whereas an American player, they're going to suck that will to play like right out of them so fast.
That's actually really profound. I didn't look at it that way. No, that's very true.
Because I mean, especially not even as much Kuzma. But man, Poole, that's got to be a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, there's highlights of Poole playing, and some of our players like him just pulling up a shot, and they're just like throwing their hands up and walking back down the floor, and it's like that's not good. That's not good.
And that's the thing. Like somebody like Dillingham, like a big American recruit,
yeah,
they're going to get tired of it a lot faster, I think, than a foreign player will get tired of it.
Okay. That's actually fair. That's actually pretty fair. Up next, we got the Houston Rockets. Man, the fact that the Rockets rose this high was pretty good. They had a decent season. They were bad, but they weren't trash, I would say.
They're on the way though.
Yeah, they were.
They got a lot of players I like.
Yeah, they started ascending. What do you think they need?
You just need more guys that can be consistent day to day. You need more people you need some athleticism to put around Şengün. Because that's the real center of your team. And now, granted, the winning streak they went on when he was out didn't help that case. But I mean, you have the other players like Jabari Smith. You have, and Udoka really kind of seemed to unlock some responsibilities for some of these guys. You need a consistent player because last year you brought in Amen Thompson, and that's raw athletic ability. Great defender, huge project.
Yeah.
You need to bring in whoever is the most steady.
Yeah. And that's what sucks sometimes too, because these teams will draft somebody and in theory that person has locked down that position, so it's like you almost don't want to draft the same dude again immediately.
Right. But I think what helped them was I think Udoka took them out of that a little bit. I think he came in with the mindset of I don't care, you guys suck. And I'm gonna decide who plays more. I don't care where we drafted people.
That's honestly, those are the best types of coaches, truthfully. But a lot of teams don't give coaches that kind of bandwidth to really make those kind of decisions.
No, but I mean, I think all their decisions, even I can't stand Dylan Brooks, but he made sense there. They're bringing in Fred VanVleet, way too much money for him.
Yeah,
but he made a lot of sense there.
Yeah.
All these guys, it's all just needs to be the progression of being a professional basketball team instead of just a collection of talent.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. So next up, we got the Spurs. The Spurs slid into the top 10 twice. So this is their first entry into the top 10 at 4. I'm saying that the Spurs need wing scoring or a true point guard. So if Dillingham doesn't go as high as those first 3, this would be a perfect spot for him, and also going to Popovich, which is also a great spot. But yeah, I think that's what they need because Jeremy Sochan isn't. He's not.
No, that was a disaster.
He's not a point guard.
And all I'm saying is at 4, it's a point guard. Whether it's Topic from overseas or Dillingham, whichever one's there, that's who you're taking.
Yeah,
you have to take a point guard.
Yeah,
there is no There is no debate about this one.
Wow, and imagine a point, like a true point. And then but now that Sochan has had that experience as the point, maybe he can slide into like a Draymond role type deal where he initiates sometimes, but he isn't the lead guy that's always having the ball in his hands.
Oh, that's the kind of thing I feel like he could do.
Yeah.
I just making the experiment of making him a point guard was a failed experiment.
Yeah.
And it hurt Wembanyama's season. So, and that's all you're doing right now is you're bolstering people around that man.
Yeah.
And honestly, especially if there's a point guard where you're like, oh, well, I don't know about his defense, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah.
There's somebody behind him that's going to corrects a lot of mistakes already.
Have you seen Wemby's new shoe?
Has he put out the shoe yet? I've only seen the symbol.
Okay, well, so how do you feel about the symbol? How do you feel about his logo?
It's pretty cool.
Pretty good.
It's not a bad one.
Yeah.
It's above the mid level. Some of these symbols out here are they're trash.
Who's got the worst signature shoe logo?
Oh, good Lord. Everything with LaMelo Ball. I mean, gosh, you're starting to see those shoes at Ross now.
Oh no! Did you see LaMelo Ball has like a dag? What is it? Lifestyle shoe? He has a lifestyle shoe coming out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks trash. It looks like some pair of Skechers.
like the Devin Bookers. Those actually, I will clown them forever as basketball shoes,
Yes.
but they do look comfortable to wear around.
Look, as basketball shoes, I've said this from the beginning. They were like if an Air Force One and a skateboarder shoe had a hermaphrodite baby. Like, they were horrible. I did not think those shoes were dope. And then everyone was like, "Oh, these are dope," and I'm like, "Bro, like they're Air Force Ones."
They're thinking of wearing around shoes and not playing in them shoes.
Yeah,
I don't know how people play in those.
Yeah, they just don't look.
But they do look comfortable
hot.
to wear around.
They
I
don't
just wish
look
they
hot.
had better colorways.
He did have a lot of colorways. The colorways did help it, but I was still not a fan. Switching gears over to the 5th pick, the Pistons. Good Lord, as bad of a season and they were historically bad. I want to say they set the record for losses in a row.
At first, they were historically bad.
Yeah.
Your Wizards were a worse team than them.
Well, they had the worst record.
Yeah, they had a worse record. But I will tell you this right now. Your Wizards are a worse team.
Look, put it this way. The Pistons have had 5 or 6 high-level draft picks in the last few years. So, like, they have the collection of talent. They just haven't put it together yet.
It's collection of talent. I'm surprised because I thought Monty was at least a decent coach. I think Monty has done a terrible job there.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand. They have a collection of talent.
Yeah.
But like all that time where they had all bigs.
Yeah.
They had a ton of bigs.
Yeah, they did.
A hurt Cade.
Yep.
And they wouldn't let Ivy play. It's a really weird way to run a team. And Asar Thompson is an interesting guy because with the exception of the skill portions of basketball, like shooting, man, everything else
is dope.
That's pretty strong.
That's fair. I still am upset over the Ivy situation because it makes zero sense. He comes in the game, he kills, they sit him back down.
Well, but also, even if he wasn't killing, your team sucks. It's time for him to get minutes.
Yeah, what
are you doing?
You got to figure out what you have.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that one out at all.
What do you think they need?
Realistically, it's still more shooting.
Yeah,
they haven't proven to have like any knockdown shooter on the roster.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm saying they need heart and leadership. When we talk about them having a collection of talent, but at the same time, they've got to be able to do. They need that guy that's a rallying person that brings everyone together. Maybe makes other people look better than they are.
Well, and your heart can't always be Isaiah Stewart ready to fight anybody. You need somebody with heart with a little more control.
Yeah.
So Isaiah Stewart's got heart.
That's fair.
Please don't let this be seen as a knock on Isaiah Stewart personally. I don't want those problems.
Yeah, he is a big problem. Up next, the Hornets. I'm saying the Hornets need size. They don't really have any bigs right now, truthfully, and they need defense.
Hornets need decision making. They have a terrible human being that they brought back who's going to get paid now. And then you also have the entire LaMelo Ball situation. LaMelo Ball's never going to win anything.
Dang.
So what you need, you're not going to find in this draft. You need actual help leading the team. and they don't have that.
Yeah.
Not that I've seen anyway.
And we don't know if they'll find that in the draft.
And you need somebody to help continue to unlock Brandon Miller.
Yeah.
Brandon Miller, by the end of last year, was a really good player. Nobody would see this because it was the LaMelo Ball-less Hornets.
That's true. Do you feel like they can play together?
Oh, LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller?
Yeah.
To an extent, because LaMelo Ball is kind of like the Trae Young thing. They'll put up assist stats.
Yeah.
But some players have selfish assists, where there's assists so they could throw a fancy pass, but realistically they miss all the other passes that could be keeping somebody engaged in the offense, keep the play moving a little better. I'm not a LaMelo fan. Yeah. I never have really seen it. I don't see it. I just don't think that's a winner at any level.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think LaMelo has to stay healthy first and foremost. He gets hurt every year, and like for stretches, not like, sprained ankle.
Well, and also maybe show that he cares about the fact that he hasn't been healthy.
Yeah.
Because some players get hurt all the time, but you could tell that it's killing his brother.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that LaMelo's feeling all that bad about being out, because he stays real popular. Young people still like him.
Yeah.
But clearly not that much if those shoes are already at Ross.
Shoes don't move. It's hard to sell Puma.
Tell Breonna Stewart that. She's doing fine with it.
I mean, that's different. That's ladies. It's a little different.
Well, still, a shoe is a shoe.
The streets ain't throwing on Pumas. I'll
tell you this right now. I'd wear those Breonna Stewarts 100 times over LaMelo Balls once.
That's fair. No, that's not a lie. Up next, the Blazers. I'm saying they need scoring next to Scoot. That's biggest thing. They need scoring. They traded out Dame. They traded out McCollum. So they need that scoring punch. They need a new 1-2 combination.
Well, they're all. I mean, you want to talk about a bad team last year? That was a bad team.
Yeah.
I saw one of those games. One of the 2 game times they got beat by 60 was by OKC. And by the way, that 60, it could have been way worse. They called those dogs off early. It could have been a lot worse than that. And realistically, your draft pick this year is Scoot improving.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that matters. Scoot to be the player that we thought Scoot was coming to the draft, that's all that matters. Anybody they get out of this draft won't mean more than that.
Okay. All right. Up next, the Spurs. This is their second pick of the top 10. They're sitting at 8. What do you think the Spurs should do?
Well, after point guard, shooters.
Okay.
Shooters, because like I said, a lot of Wembanyama is such a game-changing defender already that I personally think that I think he should have been Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
They didn't give it to him, but I mean, I don't know, all the counting stats, his were all better. Yeah. And it's not like he has help, whereas Gobert has help on defense. He has good defenders there. That's a side point. But so I don't know that somebody that work out on defense is where you have the biggest need, because he's going to make your defense better eventually as he continues to grow.
Yeah.
So I point guard, then shooting.
Yeah. Rudy Gobert, Hall of Famer in your opinion?
By the way the Hall of Fame is, he will be, in my opinion, no. You know my opinion on Hall of Fames. For anybody that doesn't know it, if there's any debate if you're a Hall of Famer, you're not one.
Amen.
You shouldn't be one.
Yeah.
So should he be? No. But Ben Wallace is, so Rudy is.
Ben Wallace, hold on now. Ben Wallace changed the whole culture. He changed the culture and got a chip.
Yeah, he also changed my desire to watch basketball games. I mean, let's talk about that change to the culture too. Let's talk to him on that Spurs Pistons finals almost killed the league.
Hey, listen, that Spurs Pistons finals went to Game 7. It was still compelling.
Going to Game 7 doesn't make it good. It just that's the only series that ever went to Game 7. It was just like, why? Who wants to see this? That was awful. That's what they had to put in so many rule changes because of that.
That sounds.
So anytime you complain, anybody you want to complain about soft players and this and that, think that series, because I don't care who you are. If you say you enjoyed watching that series, you're a liar. The Spurs weren't what they became at that point. All of those games ground down to nothing.
I respect you, Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace, I was a ball boy for Ben Wallace way back in the day.
I knew there'd be a Josh Williams connection in there. You wrote a little too hard. You wrote a little too hard for him. But no, it's not disrespect to Ben Wallace. I don't think you disrespect somebody, even if they're a high-level player, by saying they're not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I feel like, listen, in terms of if you want to say the best defenders over the past 20 years, he's in that list. So
I don't think anybody disputes that.
Yeah, and he's very high up on that list. I mean, in a universe where Dennis Rodman gets to the Hall of Fame, obviously Dennis Rodman, Defensive Player of the Year, was a game changer as well. I feel like they were similar a little bit in some ways.
I don't think Dennis Rodman should be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, you've lost your mind. Lost it, sir.
The only reason I say that is, okay, you could talk me into Rodman borderline, because I think Rodman was probably the best defender I've seen.
Yeah.
My only argument, so I'm not going to say he shouldn't be, but my argument is there are two sides of a basketball floor, and he completely did not try on one of those sides.
He focused on why they were paying him.
Well, and he was on teams that allowed him to do so.
Sure.
So I could understand him being a Hall of Famer considering the sheer level of his defense.
Yeah.
But if somebody wanted to come up to me with an argument saying, well, hey, those times where he'd be right underneath the basket and grab the ball and take it all the way back out, it's problematic. Let's be honest.
There's an argument there. Final two picks in the top 10, the Grizzlies. I'm just simply saying wing scoring to complement Ja. What do you think on the Grizzlies?
Yes, they continue. I would actually say you need more actual size, because you could see how much not having Steven Adams hurt them. Because as fantastic of a defender as Triple J is, he's also very foul prone. And he's not really there for the biggest centers that are out there in the league.
Yeah.
So that's tough for him. So I'd either say size or shooting on court Ja shooting.
And finally, closing out the top 10, the Utah Jazz. What do you think they need?
They need to do things. Their problem for them is they're going to be stuck in the middle ground. So just add another player that can come right in and play. Like, I think a dream scenario for them is if he gets past San Antonio at 8, you want like Dalton Connect from Tennessee.
Okay.
You want he's got size. He can flat out shoot. He's not the best athlete in the world, but you could see him on an NBA court. You know what that man could physically be doing
on the court. Yeah, I think they probably need to start looking at point guard to back up or at least replace Jordan Clarkson. He's on that 2-year deal. He's their point right now, so maybe just having something already in the works for if you don't bring him back.
But it's also tough because of this terrible draft. I mean, point guard is the most loaded position in the league.
Yeah.
And you can't just take anybody and say, "Oh, hey, go run a team now." It's a different world.
Yeah. Any more thoughts on the NBA draft?
Let me tell you something. I actually think your Wizards benefited. I think the Detroit Pistons benefited. I think this is the draft you don't want a number 1 pick in. Because who's the number 1 pick? I think I'd almost rather sit back and let somebody else make what will probably end up being the mistake of the draft of taking whoever gets taken at the number 1 pick. Because, listen, I have been reading and listening to and watching analysis about this draft. Part of it because I wanted to see if I was the only one that thought this was the most trash season I've ever seen for college basketball. And it was. Had a fantastic team, but it was trash. Guys like Jabal Shed at Houston, first-team All-American. He's not playing in the NBA. Like, he may come off the bench, but my things to say about it were, first off, I don't want the number 1 pick. I want somebody else to make those mistakes, and I'll just pick from whoever's left. 2, the WNBA draft was way bigger than this year's draft.
That's fair.
I'm going to tell you, it's definitely going to outrate it. And what you really have to look at is there's nobody worthy of the player. The analysts are saying the best case scenario is if you take the top 3 picks off of any other year's draft, whatever's left, that's this year's draft. So start at last year's draft at number 4. The worst case scenario, people are saying take the top 10.
Wow.
Nobody believes in any of these guys. It's the unknown. And realistically, let's be honest, y'all don't want to be here this year. You want Cooper Flagg next year. You want Ace Bailey next year.
Nice. That's good stuff. That is another Death Star Dave roast, Death Star moment in the house.
Don't want that one pick, man.
Well,
if I were you, I'd have been like, I'm cool with 4 this year. Who cares? Who are you going to tell me is any different than anybody else?
Yeah. Yep. All right, switching gears over to the man, these games we're gonna. I know Dave is running short on time, so we're gonna go through it quick.
We're good.
We're gonna get through it. So we're gonna go over each of the playoff matchups and then what we said last week because we got trolled a few times online and we actually were very close to the mark on most of these. So up first, we got the Knicks versus the Pacers. We both called it in 5. I said late game execution, which was the reason they lost game 3. And Dave said pushing the pace.
Which is why they got dog walked in game 4. And also the injuries started stacking up.
Yep.
A Tom Thibodeau team, this is going to happen.
Yep.
You play these guys too much. Rick Carlisle's too smart. If you notice, game 4, they just said run.
Yeah.
Not that you had to watch game 4 for that long. It was very clear from the start.
They ain't have it tonight.
This is a loss.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, this is the best case scenario what could have happened to the Knicks. Because if that game was close, he'd have kept playing those players all those minutes.
Well, a few of my friends that are actually Knicks fans hit me up like, why are the starters still in this game? Like, this game is over. Like, kick them out.
He can't stop himself. This is who he is.
Yeah.
When you love the Tibbs team, this is what you have to deal with. So this is why, yes, I thought just talent-wise, this shouldn't be a long series. The Knicks should have handled it, but there's not enough depth there.
Yeah, listen, Randall now, OG Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson, and
Brunson's hurt too.
Yeah, Brunson isn't 100%. So like when your rotation's already 6.5 deep, as we said last week, I don't care who you are, you start pulling people off the roster, and it's like, all right, what do we got?
Well, and your tough part is the Pacers. They have shortcomings, but they like to run.
Yeah,
and this is the situation where when you're wounded, that team that runs could maybe just run themselves to a series win.
Yeah.
Because I don't know with the health situation, I'm not sure the Knicks win this series anymore.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's gonna be determined by OG's health, I think.
OG's health and Brunson's whistle. I'm telling you, some of these Brunson calls are starting to get to be really something.
And look, and to your point, I've said this before. I feel like this is just one of the years the NBA wants the Knicks to win. So,
they badly want the Knicks to win. You
bad.
I mean, everybody likes Tyrese Halliburton and all that, but come on,
it's the Knicks.
Come on, the Knicks having a chance to win. The league would love nothing more than seeing those crowds outside MSG.
Oh my goodness! If the Knicks can make it. If the Knicks can make it to the conference finals versus more than likely the Celtics, which we'll get to next, man, it literally just changes everything, I think. And if they're able to get through the Celtics, now that looks a little bit tougher now just because of the injuries. But if they're able to get to the finals, I don't even want to consider what that'll look like.
Oh, it'll be rough. It'll be rough. Knicks fans will be out here. They'll be out here for 4 games. But they'll be out here.
Hey, you know what though? I think we both can attest that it'd be positive for the league, but I would be happy for them.
Oh yeah, I don't have any hate towards the Knicks.
Yeah,
with the exception of the foul calls, I like watching Jalen Brunson play. I like that whole Villanova contingent.
Yep. Up next, we got the Celtics versus the Cavs. This series is 2-1. We called this in 5 as well. Dave had Donovan Mitchell versus the Avengers on defense. And I said Kristaps was the one big thing. What do you think? How do you feel so far?
I think we've been proven dead on right. Because listen, the game they won, Donovan Mitchell was out there.
Yep.
And he brought everybody else with him, and everybody played well. But it still relied on him.
Yeah.
I think it's too many guys they can throw at him. And you've seen the absence of Porzingis has changed this series. What it's really shown me is that with Porzingis, this series would have been. Probably I think we'd have been looking at it being we'd have been looking at it being a sweep. They're too good of a team altogether.
Yeah. With in terms of Porzingis, you know, I mean they've both mostly just played small ball. Like Al Horford's had like 2 points. He hasn't really been doing much, so it's been mostly small ball lineups, which they can do because they've got enough size to make it
But also
work.
their small ball isn't small.
Yeah, fair.
They aren't little guys. Like you're running out their small ball with like Derek White and Jason and Jalen.
Yeah.
Like these aren't little dudes.
6'8", 6'7".
Yeah, they're able to go small while not actually going small.
Yeah, and not losing talent at the same time.
I still have my questions about them. I don't know what it is. I don't believe in Joe Mazzulla, but I haven't seen it yet. And they have just like game 2. There's those weird games that they still put out there that a team at their level shouldn't.
Yeah, especially not at this time of year. At this time of year,
No.
we got to be locked in. We shouldn't have those kind of missteps. Up next, your OKC Thunder versus the Dallas Mavericks. This series is 2-1. We called this in 7. I actually called it in 6. Dave's one big thing, Lou Dort, and can he stay out of foul trouble to bother
no.
Luka? Yeah, so game 1, he had 5 fouls. Game 2, he had 5 fouls. Game 3, he fouled out.
Yeah,
So-
the answer's been no on that one. So Dort doesn't always get the best whistle because he is a strong physical guy. But they're just I don't know if they're ready yet. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. My buddy Kevin was talking the other day. He's like, you need Shea to take over, but I'm like, that's just not what Shea does. Shea is a team guy. That's why he's always right around 30 points.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the 60-point games. He's good enough, but that's not the way he plays. So I don't know if they're all ready yet. But realistically, it's a 2-1 series in Dallas's favor. This could be OKC could be up 3-0. Dallas could be up 3-0. These teams. This will be a tough series. Every game, even when they got away from OKC for a little bit, it's still these teams both keep coming.
Yeah.
So I think both of these teams could easily be the team that wins this. Well, not easily, very difficultly win this series.
Still got it going 7?
I usually don't pick 7, but man, I don't see anything but 7 in this.
You guys got to win game 4.
This next game is what matters.
Yeah, if you get game 4, I think it's going 7. Because it's too many peaks and valleys. I don't think anybody's play has been good enough.
If they don't win today's game, they're out in 6.
Yeah. So and then my one big thing for this series was the collective versus the tandem, and my bad, PJ Washington, the pride of Las Vegas and Findlay Prep.
He thinks it's a big 3.
PJ has actually been leading the Mavericks in scoring for the series. He's led the Mavericks
part of
in
it
scoring.
is he's had to, because Luka is definitely compromised, and they've had as good of a game plan for Luka as you can have.
Yeah,
but no, PJ Washington has stepped up in the role that they need someone else to step up in.
Yeah, and for as far as your Thunder are concerned, you guys need more out of Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey, or AKA Pedialyte, or Pedolite, he has a total.
Listen, all those charges have been dropped. This is, and by the way, all of you people that said BBL Giddey, it was funny. It's not true, but it was still funny. No, Giddey is the one thing. There are certain things I like about him. I won't say the nickname they use for it because it sounds terrible. But like, if you've ever watched this man, if you want to go basketball nerd, if you ever watch him on a sideline out of bounds, he's the best sideline out of bounds player in the league by like 10 miles. But
19 points in 3 games, 1 for 8 from 3.
He can't shoot. That's your problem. He is consistently compromising you on that end. He's a fantastic passer. He can set up the offense. He's big enough to be at least sturdy on defense.
Yeah,
he does a little bit of everything. Gets rebounds, can't shoot. So that's where the question on does the future include him?
Yep. And finally, the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves. This series is 2-2. Last week's show, it was 1-0 Timberwolves. Then the Nuggets got their butts handed to them in game 2, and the sky was falling and everyone was laughing at us. But now it is 2-2. I called it in 6.
I don't know why people were so ready to pass the champs off.
Oh, they were ready. They were ready. Dave called it in 7. Dave's what if was, what if Anthony Edwards was the best player in the series. He's currently averaging a series high 33.5 points per game. And then for me, it was what's the path to 110 for the Timberwolves, and they have yet to do it the entire series, including last night. Last night they had 107, which was the highest point they've had the entire series. So, yeah, we both been right.
But you got to see, this is the mistake-making dumb cat. These are the things that happen here. This is the fact that while Gobert is usually much more useful against other teams, he doesn't really stop Nikola Jokic from doing anything.
Yeah.
I mean, he affects some other players, but some of the plays that Jokic is able to make with that man on the floor, I don't know. Also, you have to remember, a good portion of that game 2, what people were calling a meltdown, was more officiating based. Because they allowed those actual Wolves on the outside to be as physical as they wanted to.
Yeah,
and I didn't have a problem with it. So I'm not saying they let them rough them up. No, they played tough physical defense, and it worked. But they're not going to let you play defense like that every game. So at some of those points in calls, it's like I can understand the frustration because while I'm saying maybe those shouldn't be considered fouls, but those are called fouls every other game.
Yeah.
And they let them cut loose, which, by the way, if they're going to let you do it, that's the Chris Paul philosophy against Steph Curry all those years. Can't call all the fouls.
That's right.
You're not going to call it every time down the floor.
Yeah.
So keep being physical.
Yeah, and that we obviously both come from a certain era, so I respect and I love that aspect of the game. I respect and love the aspect of the game where when we're in the playoffs, this is not a playoff foul. Like,
correct.
You know what I mean? Like now everything is still parading people to the free throw line. And it's like, bro, you had to earn your buckets in the playoffs.
Speaking of that, I'd like to say something. So all these people coming at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it's like he's some foul merchant or something like that. Please go through any of these games and tell me any of those times Shai goes to the line that he didn't get fouled.
Yeah.
I'd love for you all to look into that. If there was like, I see all these things, like they're like, here we're showing Shai's highlights, and it's just him at the free throw line. He goes to the free throw line, but guess what? He goes to the bucket constantly. He has a weird stop and start game that people foul the man all the time.
Yeah.
As he get the benefit of calls, sure, he's a star.
Yeah.
But we're not talking Jalen Brunson calls here.
No, and
he's not going through throwing his head back and yelling.
And we're definitely not talking Jaylen Brown where you touch his baby hair and he's going to the line. Like, not at all. So, no, I agree with you 100%. All right.
Had to be said.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll allow it. And finally, we're going to go quickly through the NHL. Shut up. If you're still watching, you're gonna get this NHL love. We're gonna put you guys on to some other stuff.
It's a great sport. They do have the best playoffs.
They do, and we aren't even talking about it.
Well,
have you watched it?
We live in Vegas.
Have you watched any of it?
Yeah. No, I still watch hockey even when the nights are out. I watched the hockey before there were nights. So why wouldn't I watch hockey for the playoffs now?
Yeah, see, I don't watch once my Caps go down. It's too painful.
No, there's still players I like to watch. I like to see if certain players can actually pull stuff off on the biggest stage. See if they can kind of reach that next level. I watched Ovechkin for many years before he won it, trying to see if he could be the level of player he is in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I still remember the greatest hockey game I ever watched was, this was years and years ago. It was like 5 overtimes, a Pittsburgh-Philly game.
Oh, I remember that
90s.
game. Yeah, that was crazy.
And it was just like, I've never seen something so tense in my life.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Up first, we got the Rangers going for their second defeat of a division rival tonight versus the Hurricanes. They're up 3-1. And I guess my biggest question was, can the Carolina Hurricanes stay out of the penalty box? That was what killed the Capitals and got them swept. What do you think as far as that series?
I would agree with you on that. I would also just say they can't. Much like the NBA in some ways. Now, granted, this is a much smaller complaint in hockey because they don't really think this way. But they're not exactly mad if original 6 teams go far. They would love to see it happen. Now, granted, in hockey, it's a lot tougher to deal with because, once again, you run into a hot goalie, it doesn't matter.
Puck luck.
Yeah. But no, they're not going to get the benefit of calls in this series. I don't think there's any way you could expect that.
We definitely didn't in our first series. I swear every time we had them fools on the ropes, here comes the hand in the air.
Yeah. Well, but you did it though. So I mean, there was also that.
Anyway, up next, the Stars lead the Avs 2-1. Will Colorado looking to tie the series tonight at 2? My one big thing was can Cale Makar and also Mikko Rantanen supply the secondary scoring push for the Avs to do what they have to do to win this game?
Well, I think this series is the biggest test of any of the series of true championship caliber. You have the very recent Cup winners in Colorado.
Yeah.
And you have Dallas, who knocked off last year's Cup winners in Vegas. So if you take off those 2 Cup winners back to back, you're that caliber of team. I don't care that Vegas had an off year.
Yeah.
People didn't want to really see them in the playoffs.
No.
You didn't want to see them with a chance to catch fire. And they were a flawed team. But, I mean, any of these teams are – I haven't seen a super team in hockey all year.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of flaws on every team.
Every team. Everybody's got a couple holes. Just depends on if you can exploit it. Next up, the Panthers surprisingly up 3-1 over the Boston Bruins after getting 2 big road victories. Can they keep the Panthers in the barn is my one big thing. They've allowed the Bruins have allowed 15 goals over their first 3 games, and 2 of the games had 6 goals each.
This reminds me of the same Panthers we saw last year in the playoffs that the Knights saw in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah,
I mean, what do you do? Matthew Tkachuk is an evil man.
He's cold.
And he is much more of a playoff star than some other bigger stars are. He has shown up consistently in the playoffs already so much at such a young age.
Yeah, he rises. He definitely rises in the playoffs for sure.
But it feels like their whole team does. It feels like they understand what hockey is, which is all we have to do is get there. We get there. We know we're good enough to make the final because we did.
Yep. And finally, the Vancouver Canucks are up 2-1 after a big road victory over the Edmonton Oilers. Is this the year that Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid finally push through?
I'm sure the league hopes so.
God, we all hope so. Jesus.
I mean, listen, I hated seeing them last year because those two together are terrifying. I remember watching some Knights games last year. I was like, I couldn't believe the Knights beat them in that series because I was like,
I don't know what you do.
I don't know what you do with these guys.
Yeah.
But McDavid is the best player in the world currently.
Yeah.
I think that could still be said this year. He didn't have as great of a year this year as he's had, but I think he still has to consider him the best player in the world.
Yeah.
So I mean, while it's still a small market, all of us hockey fans have a soft, I believe, except for certain fan bases. I think most of us kind of have a soft spot for the Canadian teams. So in either case with these teams, if your team's out, you kind of want a Canadian team to win.
Oh, dang. They sure are both Canadian teams too. Dang. So there can only be one?
Yeah. Well, and that Vancouver crowd has showed up, though.
Yeah.
That crowd has been insane.
Dang, yeah, that is. Those are the last.
Makes you wonder
two.
if the Grizzlies would have never left.
No, you don't. You don't at all. You don't at all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the American Fan 365 podcast. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Please also DM us questions if you guys have topics or different things you want us to discuss. We're starting to wind down on some of these seasons, so it's about to be a whole lot of baseball conversation and random stuff. So,
well, we got the Olympics though this year.
We do have the Olympics, and we might be going to the Olympics, or at least I might. Dave, would you like to go to Paris? Or you?
That would be great.
Am I able to make that happen? Possibly.
Oui.
Fair enough. We'll see you guys next time. Take care. Oh. Yeah, no, I